Hey guys, welcome back to Gatsu Gaming. Today I'm going to talk to you quick about the Warlock changes coming in 8.1, my general thoughts on those changes, and what I think is going to happen whenever we get in there to Mythic Plus with Warlock, after Season 2 starts, and where I think they might be going. So let's go ahead and hop on over. So we're back here on Wowhead. Again, this video is not sponsored by anybody, they just happen to be the site that has the easiest to find stuff at the moment. So things to keep in mind, this is PTR, things can change, and, for the most part, this stuff is, as far as we can tell, how it's going to come out on Tuesday. But we'll have to see, of course, if anything changes between now and then. So, first up, Affliction changes. Unstable Affliction has gotten a slight DPS nerf. It's gone from a 64% of spell power coefficient down to 58%. Shadow damage over 8 seconds. You may afflict a target with up to 5 unstable afflictions at once. You deal 10% increased damage to targets affected by your unstable affliction. And of course, if dispelled, it's actually down from 16 to 14.5% of spell power, and silences them for 4 seconds, refunds a soul shard if target dies while afflicted. Slight nerf to UA, honestly completely fine. Affliction is way too strong, single target. I don't think there's anyone that really thinks they need a buff or anything like that, and nerf is quite warranted and honestly probably a good thing. For PvP talents here, Curse of Weakness has actually been buffed. It's now 30% of attack power reduction rather than 25%, which is awesome. And then, of course, Demon Armor. This is actually a new PvP talent, which I'm going to hover over here. It is an instant. It protects the caster, increasing maximum health by 10%, and increases armor by 125%. So an actual defensive for Warlocks who, right now in arenas, are incredibly squishy. So, again, something that's actually probably a very good thing to let them have. Moving down to Demonology here, the thing that I know most people are probably the most excited about. Bile Scourge Bombers. This has gotten a significant damage buff. It's gone from 14% of spell power up to 21%. Whether or not this is actually going to cause Bile Scourge Bombers to be really playable and usable, I'm honestly not too sure, because even whenever I've had an opportunity to play with it, I just really haven't wanted to, because I'm so used to the other two, but we'll have to see. Nether Portal has gone through significant changes here. It now tears open that portal to the Twisting Nether for 15 seconds instead of 20. Then every time you spend soul shards, you will also command demons from the Nether to come out and fight for you. So of course, whenever that happens, whenever you're running Nether Portal, you're just going to want to go and cast your Nether Portal and then basically do 1 soul shard, Hands of Gul'dan, which seems super weird, and it is, but it gets you a ton of demons. So it works out pretty well. I have tested this one on PTR. It feels significantly better being 1 soul shard to cast Nether Portal as opposed to 3. I really wish it cost nothing, because it is such a big cooldown, but 1 soul shard is way better, way better than 3, so I guess we'll take it. Sacrifice Souls, slight nerf there. Shadow Bolt and Demon Bolt deal 4% additional damage as opposed to 5% additional damage per demon you have summoned. Now, the reason that this changes there, most likely, is to slightly nerf Sacrifice Souls, because it is, in all seriousness, really strong, and it's like the only talent people take right now. So, it's okay. That being said, it's still really weird they're nerfing anything about Demonology at all, considering how underplayed and underutilized it has been recently. Soul Strike got a very awesome buff. It now, instead of being 0.35% in the coefficient, is now 0.5. That's very substantial, good old math. So, Soul Strike got a good buff, and Soul Strike is really awesome, so hopefully that'll make it more competitive with your Summon Vile Fiend. For PvP talents here, we have Call Observer. I don't know why it's listed here. It looks like there was just a tooltip error. It looks like they had maximum instead of maximum. so they fixed that. And then, of course, Curse of Weakness is in that spec as well, so they have changed it over to 30% of attack power as opposed to physical damage dealt, which will help against people that, that are not specifically physical damage, but everything they have scales off of attack power, like, for instance, prop paladins, things like that. Oh, and ret paladins. Yeah, it's pretty good. Alright, so Destruction. Backdraft. Conflag reduces the cast time of your next Incinerator Chaos Bolt by 30%. Maximum 2 charges, so you won't be able to stack up, your 4 backdraft charges and then spam them all at the same time. This just kind of... I'm guessing this just kind of reins in some of the burst that Destruction was able to do, but realistically, I don't think many people are really doing that anyway. So I'm not sure what this really changes except, punishing people who are not appropriately using their conflags. Rain of Fire is not getting any kind of a damage buff or anything, but they are buffing the range. The range has been changed from 35 yards to 40. One of those, weird things. It's like, wait, that was 35 before? So that has a little bit more range. It's still just as meh for AoE. If you have to kite anything, but, at least it has a 40-yard range now. Summon Infernal, they have changed it to... So it looks like they've actually nerfed it a bit. So it's 50% of spell power times, looks like 84 over 100, so it's going to be like 84% of 50% of spell power. It's kind of weird. It's just kind of it's just a goofy little change. There's adding some tuning to it so they can tweak it some more, which does make sense, because if they don't have that ability, it's really difficult to balance it. And to be fair, Infernal is really, really ridiculously strong, so nerfing it slightly probably isn't a bad idea. For some reason, this thing here, it just says Warlock, now a destruction spell. I have no idea what this is. Someone smarter than me, I'm sure, can explain that later on. Same Curse of Weakness change here, and then, of course, Demon Armor here as well. Just giving them the extra health and armor with an instant ability. Pretty sweet. So general stuff here. All Warlocks gain Demonic Embrace, which is a 10% stam increase, so they'll have a little more HP. This is a really good thing because, again, Warlocks were super, super squishy in arenas and PvP in general, so this should help them a little bit and give them just a bit more survivability, which they pretty desperately needed. Casting Circle, cast time has gone from 1.5 seconds down to 0.5 seconds. Again, this is a PvP talent. I never really used this, but then again, I'm also really bad at PvP on my Warlock. I probably should have been. Of course, someone who's way better at PvP than me can tell me. But, I mean, that seems like a really good change. Going from a 1.5 second cast down to 0.5 seconds, very rare you'll ever get interrupted. And if you are interrupted by that, I would very much question whether or not that person was running a kickbot, because it's pretty hard to interrupt a half-second cast. Azerite traits here, they've gotten rid of Accelerant, which is that Rain of Fire, hitting 3 or more targets gets you haste. They've gotten rid of Death Bloom, which is that Seed of Corruption early detonate thing, which is just... It was terrible, didn't do any damage at all. And then Forbidden Knowledge, which no one liked this, period. No one did. And if anybody did, they're lying. Giving your Dreadstalkers a 30% chance to make your non-instant Demon Bolt deal extra damage. No one wanted that. It sucks to hardcast a spell that starts at 4 seconds. So they've gotten rid of those, which is awesome. They were terrible. I'm glad they got rid of them. Now, the new traits here are incredibly good. Baleful Invocation, Demonic Tyrant's Demon Fire deals additional damage, and summoning your Demonic Tyrant instantly generates 5 soul shards. This is awesome. No matter what, you are going to want at least 1 Baleful Invocation, regardless of what demo build you're playing, because this just makes your pretty much only DPS cooldown as Demonology also give you full resource. This is amazing. So, obviously you're going to want this if you are running Nether Portal for sure, because getting 5 soul shards while you're having all your demons do extra damage seems really sweet. And him doing extra damage with Demon Fire is really good. So, If you are playing Demonology or plan to, you will want to find a piece of gear with this on. The thing to keep in mind is that this will replace Forbidden Knowledge. So if you have a piece with Forbidden Knowledge now, you already have a Baleful Invocation piece. Congrats. Chaos Shards, this is the new Destruction trait that replaces Accelerant. Incinerate damage is increased by a moderate amount. And when you fill up a Soul Shard, you have a 5% chance to generate an additional full Soul Shard over 2 seconds. Now, this here is the kind of thing, that second part with the filling up of the Soul Shard, that is totally the type of thing that an old tier bonus would have given us, so this is really sweet. Again, you're definitely going to want at least one of these if you are playing Destruction. I definitely like this direction for design for Azerite traits. I'd much prefer to have some, a couple different ones that give us some interesting tweaks to our gameplay rather than, a flat stat increase, or, a flat, oh, look at that, my one spell does way more damage. I'd much rather have something that actually changes our playstyle, so this is pretty sweet. Shard generation, of course, is at a premium with Destruction, and after your Infernal's down, you're just kind of like, oh god, what do I do? So this should help that quite a bit. Extra Soul Shards are muy Dorito, as Jelly would say. If you guys don't know Jelly, she's in my stream quite a bit. Stop in and check it out. Pandemic Invocation, this is the new Affliction trait that replaces Death Bloom. This is going to be absolutely incredible for Affliction. You're definitely going to want one of these. It is very possible that you will want to stack this. We'll have to see how it stacks, because I haven't been able to get 3 pieces with it, or even 2 pieces with it on PTR, because I didn't keep anything with Death Bloom on it, because it was typically a garbage piece for everything. But this makes it that anytime you refresh your Corruption, Agony, or Siphon Life with less than, it says 5,000 over 1,000 seconds, so it should be 5 seconds remaining, will deal 692 shadow damage, and has a 66% chance to grant you a Soul Shard. Now, a lot of the things that have percentages like that will never change whenever you stack them. It should just be that shadow damage. So having a, more than 50% chance when you refresh a dot to trigger a pretty decent amount of shadow damage, that seems really good. This could be the trait that, basically keeps Affliction where it is on the totem pole, while also making it something that rewards you for playing the spec correctly, which is pandemicking your dots when you need to, not letting them fall off, etc. So awesome trait. Very excited to see how this plays out. I may actually play Affliction again just to play around with this, because I'm sure I can find at least one piece with it on live. Now we got a new tier 2 trait, which is Terror of the Mind. Requires Warlock, imagine that. Soul Leech gains 770 absorption every 1 second while your target is affected by fear. Now that's what it says here, but next to it, it says you steal 770 health every 1 second from targets affected by your fear. So I don't know if that's actually going into Soul Leech, or if it's actually you're actually draining HP. We'll have to see how it goes live. Either way works, though. Having Soul Leech is fine. If you're actually stealing the HP, that won't go into Soul Leech. That'll just be a straight heal. With it going into Soul Leech, though, it builds up your shield. So we'll just have to see what it does. Dreadful Calling, they have significantly buffed the damage here. It's gone from 63 times 4 up to 82 times 4. So pretty significant damage buff. I don't think this will make it any better. But again, we'll have to test and see. There might be some kind of fun build, that maybe runs, one of these and, one pandemic, or 2 of these and 1 pandemic or something to, really push the amount that we're going through. But I don't think this is going to work out all that well, because our Dark Glare being a 3 second, that'd be broken. A 3-minute CD, 3 minutes is pretty normal, and I don't see that really being all that great, because you don't really get much out of this still. But I know there are some people who are running it. I don't know how successful they've been, though. Now, interestingly, they changed Forbidden Knowledge here, but they also removed it, so I don't know why it's here. They significantly buffed the damage on it, and then they replaced it. Weird. Inevitable Demise has been changed significantly. This is now off of Corruption, you know, probably because of the cheese you could do with tossing Corruption on things that can't die, like target dummies, and having the Everlasting Affliction, or whatever it is, Unending Corruption, maybe. I forget the talent, because I tried to stay away from it, because it's such a design brick wall. But it changes over from Corruption over to Agony. It now only stacks 50 times, and it does increase the damage you can drain life by 58 per stack. So it is a slight buff to the amount you get per stack, while only stacking up to 50. This is definitely a good change, and again, it rewards good play. It rewards, you know, pulling at a fairly rapid pace, you know, and being quick. So, you know, Inevitable Demise will still be good. It'll just be different with how you play it. You can't cheese anymore, which is a good thing, again, because being able to cheese everything is just, it's not fun. So, with that being said, guys, those are the changes for Warlock coming here in patch 8.1. In general, I think it's going to smooth out the issues that Warlock as a class has had. And honestly, most of that has just been that their traits have been kind of lackluster, besides one or two. And of course, there's PvP inconsistencies with them where they're just incredibly squishy. They were totally glass cannons, which, you know, makes them very difficult to play. These changes should put them in the right direction PvP-wise, and the PvE changes look great, because it should bring all the specs a little closer together. Demo, of course, still going to be the odd man out, where it still doesn't have an interrupt, you know, unless you sacrifice a ton of damage by swapping off of your Felguard. But I think in general it's going to put Demo in a much, much more acceptable place, damage-wise, with those changes. So thanks for checking in today, guys. Be sure you liked the video if you liked it, downvote it if you didn't. Follow me on Twitter. I have a Patreon over there if you'd like to support the channel. Got some really fun stuff coming out. I have a new UI video, guys, for you in the works. It's going to take a little bit, though, to finish, because I have to figure out how to upload the full folders so you have all the saved variables. Not used to doing that yet. So, catch you later, guys. Peace.